All right, welcome JNUC friends. How we all doing? Is the caffeine, okay, so for those are better reactions than I got for the first two. I think the caffeine has finally hit so far. Awesome. My name is Zach Halliwell. I'm a learning experience designer here at Jamf. You might recognize me from fame in the Jamf 100 course or the Jamf Online Training Catalog. If not, I'll only be mildly offended. It's fine. Today we have George Weisgerber from Galide, the VP of Partnerships and Procurement from Galide, talking about maximizing the value of your Apple hardware with G.O.A.T. I'll pass it off to you, sir.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And hey, everyone. I know there are a lot of great sessions on the calendar right now, so really appreciate you being here. And I do see some familiar faces. But for those of you who don't know me, as he said, I'm George Weisgerber. I'm with, it is pronounced Galide. This is our third straight year sponsoring JNUC. But I'd like to go back a little further than 3 years. Actually, I'd like to go back almost 24 years ago to October 23rd, 2001. And there's Apple, the time machine. And that was when Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in Cupertino. He pulled something out of his pocket and he said, "This amazing device holds 1,000 songs." Now we all know the story about how the iPod went on to disrupt and transform the music industry. And why was the iPod so revolutionary? I mean, I guess because it was the first of its kind. I guess it had the best specs, right? Well, not really. Actually, in fact, far from it. Apple wasn't the first company to release an MP3 player. By the time the iPod launched in 2001, there were already dozens of similar devices already on the market. On paper, the iPod wasn't even the most technologically advanced. Some competitors, like Creative Nomad's Jukebox, had significantly more storage compared to, believe it or not, it was only 5 gigabytes for the original iPod. And some had longer battery life. So why was the iPod so successful? Well, it's because Apple understood that it was more than a piece of hardware. They knew the real value wasn't in the device, but it was in the user experience and the integrations. And that's why the iPod was launched simultaneously with iTunes, and for the first time, users had a complete ecosystem. Buy the music, sync it easily, and take it with you. What Apple understood with the iPod was that hardware by itself depreciates, but integration creates value. And that idea that integration creates value is exactly what Casper Suite and now Jamf has demonstrated for over the last 2 decades. What started out as just a couple of hundred or even less than 100 admins sharing scripts in a Minneapolis basement has grown into tens of thousands of organizations managing millions of devices today. And that scale is what makes our conversation about asset value so important. And actually, I had this updated with the slide, but this is yesterday, John said that there's 76,000 organizations using Jamf, managing over 33 million devices. So the total residual value of those assets, those 33.6 million assets, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 billion. And millions of that asset value is being managed by many of you sitting in this room here today. So just let that sink in. And you may wonder, how did you come up with this number, 40 billion? Is that voodoo math? Well, I like to call it back of the napkin math. Technically, I use the back of a notebook. I don't know if you can understand my my chicken scratch, but I considered the 33.6 million devices. I analyzed the typical refresh cycles depending on different industry verticals. I mean, SaaS, I think you're looking at 24 to 42 months. Healthcare and higher ed, it's 4.4. K-12, it's a little longer. Next, I broke out the percentage of Macs, iPads, iPhones, and don't forget Android deployed in each environment, looked at average resale prices, converted it to USD. Again, I'm just messing with you. It's not that scientific, but, and I don't know if anyone likes Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but the point is, it's a lot of value. And speaking of value, Jamf has over 40 sponsors this year. That's the most in its history. And at least a half a dozen of those sponsors, if you look through, are offering some type of Apple buyback or IT asset value recovery solution, just like Galide. And as you visit each of our booths or attend our sponsored sessions, I can assume at a certain point, it starts to feel a little bit like, I don't know, maybe Bring It On. It's like all these different cheerleading squads doing the same routine with the spirit fingers. I don't know, maybe I'm too old, no one gets the reference, but here's the thing. Galide, just like Blake had quoted at Apple, we're different, and our routine is different. So any of you attended Galide's JNUC session last year, you may remember me discussing 3 non-negotiables that our founder Kizer insists be built into each of Galide's processes, including logistics, operations, repairs, and even re-commerce and resale. And these 3 pillars or these 3 non-negotiables, they have nothing at all to do with buyback pricing. The first of those is security. Our entire supply chain includes multiple checks and balances, including random inspections by independent third-party auditors, to ensure security. Every single device that Galide touches goes through a rigorous process to ensure that every last bit of data is destroyed. We use a DISA-compliant software that supports over 18 different wipe protocols, including NIST, DoD, IEEE, even GDPR. And then when it comes to devices that can't be securely wiped, for those we deploy NSA-approved physical destruction techniques like shredding. So the second piece is sustainability. And Galide, we're very committed to the planet, and that's demonstrated by the fact that we go the extra mile in attaining 2 certifications, the R2v3 by Series, Sustainable Electronics Recycling International, and RIOS Recycling International Operating Standard. Costs a lot of time and money and resources, but we feel it's worth it. It gives our clients the peace of mind knowing that we're following environmentally sound processes. And then the third non-negotiable is to always provide the highest level of service for our clients. And hopefully, if any of you here today are clients, you'll see we may not be perfect, but we will always go the extra mile and to be responsive. And that's just part of what Kizer insists be built into all of our processes. And so the reason I'm mentioning all this is because now we want to take it a step further. Just like Apple paired the iPod with iTunes, Galide, and they created something bigger that went beyond just hardware. Galide is working to develop an entire ecosystem that pairs buyback with lifecycle strategy while fulfilling those 3 non-negotiables: security, sustainability, and service. So now we've starting with Jamf, we're building integrations with Jamf, Entrust, Okta, ServiceNow, just to name a few. And the point of this is to help the IT teams we support streamline their end-of-life workflows and make it easier for them to maximize the return on their investment, protect their data, and deliver measurable results back to their organization. So today, I'm excited to show you how Galide has taken that vision and the comprehensive platform that we're building and that we like to call G.O.A.T. And I do want to give credit and inspiration to the name, Arctic Wolf. If you attended their session, last year, that was actually really cool. They talked about Puma, which is Patch Update Manager for Apple, and I believe this year we're in the same square. We were so inspired by it. They had this cool graphic. They're wearing the hoodies and a beer. Kevin and Shahir, we were all brainstorming, and we said, listen, if Galide is going to launch a platform next year, we need a catchy name. And then Shahir came up with it, and he just blurted out G.O.A.T. And that is what we're calling it, Galide Operational Asset Tracking. Now, before I show you how G.O.A.T. And Jamf work together, first I want to show you how our platform, what it already does, and how it aligns with, because there's 3 non-negotiables, those pillars: security, sustainability, and service. So first, this is G.O.A.T without Jamf. Just getting started, we do recommend, MFA is required, so they definitely recommend setting up SSO or whatever IDP your organization uses. So this is the dashboard. This essentially is the base of the platform. So from here, you can see the total value that you've recovered with Galide to date. You can see that broken out by month and by dollars and units. You can see the status of your different pickups or service orders, whether they're scheduled, in progress, or complete. Here along the left-hand menu, you'll see we have user access levels, the Galide's API, which is now open, which I'll get into, and then the integrations. And then also the price book, which is the main thing we're here to talk about today. So let's just say, let's just start again, because we're always focused on security. So here, if you go to look at all your work orders, you can see the entire chain of custody for each order, including the number of units received versus those that were requested in the initial work order. If you click a specific serial, you can see all the information associated with that asset, the grading, if it was scratched, if there was any issues, all the specs. But one of the things I really like, and this is something that I've looked at other iPads that they don't provide, is we provide a separate certificate for each individual device, but we go beyond that. Instead of just a generic certificate, we provide the actual, if it was logically wiped, the actual erasure report. So this one is an example of one from SoftThinks. Well, this is what we use for our Windows laptops and any MacBooks or Apple devices without the T2 security chip. So in this case, you can see it shows that it was wiped following NIST 888 guidelines, shows the number of passes, but also it shows that this particular device had battery health below 85%. So then now let's, again, as I mentioned, for devices with the T2 chips, we don't use, we use a different tool called Phone Check, so just as another example. And again, I'm just showing you this because this is something I'm proud of because we want to show that level of transparency. This was wiped using a tool called Phone Check, also decent compliant. You can see it right there. And then one last example of a certificate. This is where, in the instance where the device couldn't be logically wiped because it was maybe had a defective motherboard, here you'll see a certificate here showing that it was all data was rendered irretrievable using physical destruction techniques. And this is now you can always access this in our portal, but we also now have an open API. So if you want to pull it into your internal ITAM, and this is just because I'm sure your GRC, your compliance team, they don't want to log into, they call it swivel seat, having to log into another portal. So that's why, again, we've opened our API, but we also are working on partnering with an ecosystem of partners to make it easier for you to use these in your tools. So for instance, we have a partnership with a platform partner who has a ServiceNow app, a certified ServiceNow app in the ServiceNow store, and this will allow you to attach these, track full chain of custody right in HAM, and the certificates of destruction get populated automatically and attached to those assets. So then whenever there's an audit, you don't have to worry about scrambling and looking for the COD or giving your compliance team access to Galide's portal. They can just check it right in ServiceNow. So now back to G.O.A.T. So let's just say you're getting ready to retire some devices, and you want to see how much Galide's currently offering for those devices. Now, of course, you could just email myself, Joanne, or anyone on our team, and we'll be happy to provide you a quote. But in this case, you can now go to Galide's live price book. So we have over 5,000 SKUs in here. You can sort by asset type, manufacturer. We have Windows in addition to Apple. You can search by processor chip. and find immediately what the grade A pricing is, and we also have a scale that shows you the pricing for B through Fs. So this is kind of the first step in trying to make it easier for you, the traditional process, and from what we've looked at other vendors, no one is really offering instant guaranteed buyback quotes. So then if you like what you see, you click go, and you can create a work order. And now let's go to a work order, and let's just say from the drop-down, you want to create a work order, and we offer different types of pickups that our clients may be familiar with. The first is a white glove pickup. That's where our team comes on site, does all the work. Second is a FedEx pickup, where we'll send you boxes, labels, and bubble sleeves for you, and to send the devices back to us. And then you just select the pickup date, whether it's going to be a white glove or a FedEx pickup, and you're all set. And then you can track the entire progress of that order right here, from pickup scheduled to the assets retrieved, all the way through pre-audit to the buyback being issued. Okay, so the one last feature, because I know we've been again focusing on those 3 non-negotiables, but before we dive into how G.O.A.T works with Jamf, there's one option that we're also offering. Again, our whole goal is to help make hardware lifecycle management easier for you. And one of the ways we can do that, either in Jira or ServiceNow, you can create a ticket or on a portal, which will allow you to have boxes sent to your remote users. So if you have an employee who is offboarded, we'll send them a kit. You can have that kit sent back. You can have the return device sent back to your office or any of your internal locations, or you can have it sent to Galide, and we can customize the collateral that's going to be in the box so that it has a QR code, any information that you want, and you can also include SMS reminders, because I know we've been working with clients who want to get, so we've had some where the return rate on getting devices back from users was like as low as 50–60%. Again, we think it should be above 95%, Okay, so now let's go into connecting Jamf. Pretty straightforward. It takes less than 2 minutes. You just go and create a new API role for Galide with the only privileges required are read computers, read mobile devices, read computer pre-stage enrollments, and read mobile device pre-stage enrollments. And then there's additional privileges you can add if you want us to be able to release from ABM. But these are the main privileges, just to be able to integrate and pull your devices into G.O.A.T. Then just enable the client. Then you log back into the G.O.A.T dashboard, hit Jamf integration, and basically just put the URL client ID. And once you see the connected to Jamf, you're good to go. All right, so now all your devices will pull right into the G.O.A.T portal. And from here, you can sort them by age, processor model, and then you can select the devices that you want to add to a work order. And then just click add to move to work order, and basically that saves you that step in the process. But this is only the beginning, So last month we gave some of Galide's clients early access to our Jamf integration, and this was really helpful for us. And thinking about even a couple yesterday in the keynote, someone mentioned community. Yesterday I attended George from City Block Health's presentation. He mentioned about community, and basically us building this, again, it's all based on the needs of our clients, and the feedback that we get from them is basically how we can learn how to better build this product. And again, we're not developers first, and so the only way we can really see how this works properly is by working with clients who are managing devices at scale. I just went through, I think I may have been telling someone yesterday how we went through the whole process of bringing in the dummy devices that Jamf provides their technical partners to test the platform, and unfortunately there were no serials attached, so really it wasn't very helpful. So that's why these beta tests that our clients have participated in have really helped us work out bugs and understand what we can really do to make this integration beneficial. So based on everything that we've discussed and be working with clients, we're now going to have everything mapped to Jamf. So instead of having to go to the price book, you'll be able to see the value of those Jamf-managed devices right on your main dashboard. So if you can sort them, you want to see what's my fleet worth right now, what are all my devices that are Intel chips worth, what are all my devices that are no longer covered by Apple Care worth. And we're based on some feedback that we've gotten. I know Stefan from Ramsey had mentioned we should add battery health. Again, all this feedback is useful. We again want to make it easier for you to not just be reactive in terms of requesting quotes, but actually be able to make decisions, proactive decisions that help you maximize the value of your assets. And in doing that, again, we're always open to partnerships. So even like we were working with Phobio, because the one thing in this industry is we want to really provide our customers the best data, and a lot of that has to be done through collaboration. One, getting feedback from our customers, but also working with other other peers. And that's what we're working to build, so that this goes beyond just saying, okay, what can I get for it now? But when is the optimal time to refresh my devices? Is it 3 years? Is it 4 years? Based on new releases coming out. And that's kind of the future, and that's what's on our roadmap now for G.O.A.T. So, and basically, this is so that our goal is that where lifecycle strategy becomes lifecycle intelligence, and so that you can know the exact value of your assets before it's time to retire them. So that's pretty much it. At the start of this session, I told you how Apple paired the iPad with iTunes to create something bigger than just hardware, and that's what Galide is trying to do here with G.O.A.T. So just would love to get some feedback, any questions anyone has, and that's where we go. Yeah, hey, Robert.
Does the portal also display warranty?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so I think we're gonna add Apple Care if whether or not it's covered, but that's something we can also add, and that's why this feedback is great as well, and that is what's on the plan. Absolutely. Thanks, Robert. A great question. Anyone else? Oh, yes.
Do you guys track the status of return shipments for the return service that you have?
Yes, absolutely. So that's so basically you have full tracking. So through the FedEx API, you can see when the labels were created, when it was sent to the employee, and then it's up to you if you want to basically set reminders. So like we can customize those notifications. So let's just say it was an employee who was offboarded, they might get. We can also customize how quickly the box is sent to them, because if you know an employee is about to be offboarded, you want that box to arrive pretty much within 24 hours. And then that might also have different collateral in the box that kind of, is a little, more aggressive in terms of indicating how important it is to get the device back. Whereas if it's just a standard refresh, that might be, you might want different types of communications. And you can customize that at email and SMS. And again, it's all white labeled, so it doesn't say it's coming from Galide. It says whatever your organization's name is. Yeah. Yes.
Under the locations tab, we're a global company.
Yes.
You guys do mostly in the U.S. and some other countries. Under the locations tab, would I be able to add some of my offices?
Yeah, great question. Yes. So if I would show you here, it is enabled for international. There are some countries, I always like to joke, there's some countries we can't do, like North Korea, but yeah, so like for instance, we just got a shipment back from Portugal, so pretty much, I think it's now at about like 90 countries, so yeah. And any other questions? Yes?
If a device is older and is unreleased from Jamf, you can't see it in Jamf, how would you do it on your website?
Well, now, so one, it's funny because we were just having one ABM has opened their API. So if you enable the privileges, and again, that's all if you want to enable that privilege set for Galide, because I can understand maybe that may even know what. But there's two ways. One, you can download a list of enrolled assets and a CSV. So that, or if you want to enable that privilege set, it's something you should be able to do in the portal. Yeah. No, so we're only focused on the end-of-life piece. So, again, we do help if you want to procure used hardware, but and actually this is another thing we've been going through because basically, it's funny, this is what's great about working with clients. If you buy used devices and you're not buying them through Apple, and you want to enroll them, you have to do it through a manual configurator, and then it allows the user to release those up to 30 days from when you're, but that's something we want to enable, but right now it would just be for releasing, yeah. You're welcome, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, that would be, again, that's on our roadmap, and it's all based on feedback from customers. So next would be Intune, yeah, absolutely, and then maybe, obviously, Jamf is our priority, but then some other smaller MDMs, but Intune would be next, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So we've been a customer with you guys for about 1.5 years now, and it seems like the progression of always looking to innovate has been at your guys' forefront. And I saw on that first slide of the different integrations that you guys were doing, and I saw Slack. Can you speak to what you guys are going to be doing?
Yeah, that's great. So we want to, be able to, again, like let's say your work order moves to a different status, that you can enable a notification so that you don't have to keep checking in the portal and saying, oh, did that job move to the next status? So that's, and again, the whole purpose of everything is to try to make things easier for the endpoint team. But the one thing is, because we're always focused on those non-negotiables with the security and the sustainability, sometimes it takes longer to get things out. But this is all on our roadmap, absolutely. Thank you. Great question. Yeah. All right, excellent. Well, thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, I really appreciate the feedback. And again, this is what helps us make the product better. And thank you so much.
George, real quick before we end, if anybody has more questions for you later, where can they find you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to galide.com. Actually, if any of you stop by if you want to go to Joanne, she'll be happy to scan your badge. There's a piece of collateral that you can click a link if you want to schedule a live demo. Yeah. All right, great. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.